Hi, good morning, Maame. Thank you very much for being there. And thank you for taking the time outside your startup to be with us today. Um, so, we just wanted to know a bit more about you and what inspired you. First of all, you can introduce yourself and tell us what inspired you to start your business.
So thank you very much, Julie, for inviting me, and thank you again for all the support you have rendered me throughout my journey and continue to render. So I think, in a nutshell, my name is Maame for Nikabs. I completed my PhD in linguistics in 2019 at Queen Mary, and it was during the process, I think about a year to finish, I realized that it was getting quite difficult to get an academic job. So I started thinking outside the box. What can I do with my skills that I've acquired as a student? And I also kind of liked the fact that throughout the 4 years, I've been working for myself. So I set my own deadlines. I take my own holiday breaks, and I was enjoying that. And most importantly, I was enjoying the satisfaction that came out with finding out something, that inquiry kind of part of the PhD process. So as I started thinking, luckily we had a speaker from Labrov who talked about how she applies linguistic research in industry. And I thought, oh, so that's something I could do. So that's when the idea started. So one, it was the fact that I identified that there weren't so many academic jobs out there. And having worked 7 years in the bank, in the corporate world, I wasn't ready to go back into that kind of position. So I thought, no, if I've heard from someone's journey, it means that I'm not reinventing the wheel. I just have to focus and narrow down and identify a gap and apply my skills. So, and I think one of the things that I enjoyed about being a linguistic student is the fact that you can apply the skills everywhere. And when I started the journey, I didn't have that understanding. But it's just looking at language. And so language use is I think is a norm or is a practice in society. So really every industry, every sector. So I thought, oh yes, that's so in a nutshell, my motivation to find something to do for myself, to work for myself as well, having enjoying being my own boss, sort of doing a PhD, and also realizing that there is a gap. I might not end up getting an academic job. Why don't I start doing something for myself and even end up employing others as well who are like me and are wondering what to do next after their PhD?
Great. So, can you tell us a bit more about your business then?
Well, so after searching and talking to you and Miriam and all the other people I had a discussion with, so I think luckily for me at that time, that's when this George Floyd thing had come up and like Black Lives Matter and people were talking about discrimination and bias against Black people. And I said, wow, everybody else is talking about race, gender, religion, all these kind of obvious things that we associate discrimination and bias with. But nobody is saying anything about language, which is really the vehicle through which these sorts of discriminations are manifested. So Linglab simply exists to raise awareness about language-related bias and equip organizations with the relevant strategies to be able to overcome these in the workplace. So the benefits are one, hiring more diverse talent, and importantly, retaining the diverse talent that they have on their teams. Because one benefit of diversity is the fact that you have people from different backgrounds, so kind of um, cultural mix, I should say, if that's an appropriate word. So really addressing the challenges that come with these sort of cultural mix in the back that are not so visible. So the invisible characteristics of discrimination and bias. That's what Linglab deals with in a nutshell.
Great. That sounds really interesting. And as you said, I think the fact that you're able to apply the skills that you've acquired through your PhD, um, it's great. And the fact that you've identify a gap, and it's very much a topical conversation at the moment. So amazing. Can you tell us? So when did you start your business? And I guess what does a typical day look like to you?
So I started my business in August, uh, when I applied for my visa. So I was kind of doing it raising awareness through LinkedIn and social media on the background. So when I finally picked up my visa, I think that's probably end August, early September. That's when I officially launched. So in the beginning, a typical day was just uh, being on social media and trying to find out what is going on, what are people saying, what can I also say, how can I contribute, how can I make my voice heard, how can I be more visible so that people even know that I exist in the first place. So I would typically spend, say, an hour or an hour and a half, particularly on LinkedIn, trying to pick up the trends that are associated with bias and discrimination and comment on posts that people are making and chip in my sort of authentic voice about, look, listen, there's a gap here. Let's pay attention to this thing. And then outside that, it would be sending out. So I sent out a couple of proposals to organizations just to gauge interest. So that was the beginning. But now that things are a bit structured and I kind of have clients that I'm dealing with, so it would involve checking my emails to see if there's any follow up, and I have like meetings, some with old clients that have already signed on, some too with people who are approaching me. So I can't overemphasize the importance of LinkedIn. People who are approaching me through LinkedIn trying to get more information, and then also typically just replying to emails as well, and being in touch with the sort of community, online community constantly. That's what I do on a daily basis. And like I said, meetings, now that everything's online, so it's more like meetings, being in and out of meetings and trying to get things rolling. And of course, now I have a podcast as well. So once a week, I make time to sit and record. And after recording, is scouting for my next guest. So that also involves sending out emails and letting people know, oh, this is what I'm doing. Are you interested in sharing your experience? So that's
And
how
do
they.
you feel like your every day is the same, or do you feel like you get into a routine, or actually um, every day can be quite different?
I think a bit of both.
Yeah,
I mean, the fact that I'm a mom of three children, that is also, so all these things come into play, and you cannot really say, oh, I'm going to do this at this time, unless, of course, if I have a meeting, the things
yeah,
very specific with, if I've arranged a meeting with someone, that one is not negotiable. It has to come on, unless things that are obviously beyond my control. But apart from that, I can decide that, oh, very early in the morning, I want to have 1 hour of work, especially when my little son is asleep. Like, okay, let me take advantage of this and do as much as I can before he wakes up. So, although I'm building the routine, sometimes it just goes haywire. But one thing I do all the time is to say I'm not working on weekends.
yeah.
So I
Okay,
don't I don't work on weekends. It's just Monday to Friday. And
okay.
there are days that are more productive than others. And I think that's a typical day for everyone as well.
Yeah, and it's good that you made that boundaries, especially with family commitments. I think it's really good because I think sometimes working for yourself and having a business, you can overwork, or you can, um, not being that on point with your work-life balance. So it's great that you made boundaries. Can you tell us what would be your biggest achievement to date?
Well, I think my biggest achievement is being able to facilitate a training session for staff of Queen Mary University of London. And I'm so happy and proud of that achievement because um, I didn't see it coming so soon. This is just early days in my business. So to be able to do that, I think it's something that I'm very much proud of. I'm very much happy with the progress I've made so far, and I know that, I mean, better days are ahead. This is going to give me the leverage and the stepping stone to approach other organizations, or even for other organizations to approach me and say, oh, I like the way you did this for Queen Mary. Can you consider how you can help us as well? Yes.
Amazing. And can you maybe tell us a bit more about the skills that you've gained? So you had some skills that you acquired through your PhD, but what are the different skills that you maybe either deepened or find out about once you started your business?
Well, I think the other beautiful thing about Queen Mary is the support. So the but is it Q incubator that we recently? Yes. So marketing, that was I mean, so I remember during our conversations, you would always say, "Mommy, try to commercialize your idea." So coming from a research background, it was all about, oh, we can do this, we can do that, but how can you make that appeal to someone? Because businesses are interested in results, not the theory behind the results. So I think the number one is the selling and the marketing, and the fact that we have Letitia come talk to us about how to build content, how to grow our online presence, how to engage with our customers. That skill is something that has been so beneficial, uh, and something that I picked up and gained more about through the Q Incubator program. And um, the other thing, one other place that I also learn a lot from is through LinkedIn. So I pay for LinkedIn Premium, and it gives me the opportunity to have access to a lot of learning resources.
Yeah.
So I can't emphasize the marketing and this, because it's my business. I'm more or less the finance manager, the account, the marketer, the salesperson. So yes, I'm enjoying the sale. It is a bit tricky, but I think with the guidance that I've received, I've been able to break things down and approach things systematically. I know what I'm doing. I'm not confused like I was in the beginning. And I think the other thing too that I definitely also benefited from was the networking, and the fact that we were always encouraged during the sessions to network, the mentors, and just approach other people, and just say hi, just consistently putting yourself out there, because without that, nobody even knows you, nobody. You have to go out there. The way the world is, you definitely, you essentially have to put yourself out there. And then I think Miriam also facilitated a session on finance, and that is also something that, I mean, I didn't gain on my PhD journey. Although I had a background in the bank, I it wasn't my business. So being exposed to how to even price your services, how to even manage your finances and stuff like that. So definitely my top three skills that I have acquired over these years, over this period, and I'm applying on my job.
That's great, and I'm really glad that you talked about the networking and the LinkedIn, because I agree. I think you did so well, and now you're an author on LinkedIn, and your voice is heard. And I like the fact that you are highlighting, putting yourself out there. It's been something that you've learned and you're doing really well, so well done. And so you touched on that a little bit through just about the skills that you've gained, but um, what tips would you give to any students or graduates who are thinking about starting their own business or working for themselves? What would be your 3 tips for
Mm,
them?
mm. I would say number one, start talking to people, because sometimes you have the idea, and I have to be honest, when I started thinking about this business, it was until I spoke with you that I actually made sense to myself, because it was all in my head and I wasn't even sure if it was something worthwhile. But you looked at it and you were like, oh yes, there's definitely a potential in there. So one, talk to people. Talk. We have a wonderful team at Queen Mary. Talk to them. Make use of your network. If you have mentors, people both in your field. So I spoke to senior academics in my department. They were like, oh yes, it's worth doing. So when I had that green light, then I developed the idea further and brought it to you guys. Oh, sorry. My screen just froze, so I thought
uh,
you are
no
calling.
worries, you're still there, keep going.
So I brought the idea to you. So I would definitely say, see the enterprise team will give you that critical feedback that you would not have yourself. And also, I think that aside from talking to people in Queen Mary, I think it's also important that you start early. So don't wait till the last minute. Because when I mentioned when I said in the beginning, I said a year before I graduated. That's when I started thinking about what am I going to do after graduation. Most of them are not. We wait till it's too late. So we actually realize that, oh, I finished school. I don't have anything to do. that is not the best. So if you are still in school, it's a great opportunity to start thinking along those lines. If you have already, it's not too late. You can still start. And the other thing is do your homework. So you need to be sure that you are meeting a need. Do your homework. Do the necessary homework. Find out. You don't necessarily have to do everything new, but there's essentially a gap in the industry that you are trying to enter, and once you identify that gap, work on it and improve it, and it will sell. And I think the final tip I'll do is to be persistent. Persistence really pays off, and also believing in the dream that you have or the vision that you have. So persistence and believing in the vision and in yourself as well. Yes.
That's great. Thank you very much, Maame. I think I agree in terms of um, it's coming back to putting yourself out there, as well as believe in yourself. But that belief comes from talking to people and getting that validation that you had. And I really like the fact that you're saying do your homework, because that's the thing. It's just really understand your market, really understand your industry, and find that gap, because as you said, you don't need to reinvent the wheel, but it's maybe something, the way that you're doing things differently, that will appeal to your market. And can you tell us, I'm quite curious for in your business, or what are your future plans? What are the future 6 months look like for you?
I think the next 6 months, so what I intend to do is to, number one, increase my reach with my podcast, because the main reason why I went into the podcasting was just to raise awareness about the fact that this thing exists and it can complement existing efforts to make workplaces more diverse, inclusive, and equitable. So definitely expand my reach and my scope as well. Secondly, will be to have, I think I'm looking to get repeat business from the customers that I have already, and also acquiring new ones as well. So stepping into industries that I have not even thought of yet. So that would be my next 6 months 6 months plan. Yes.
Great. And just a question on the pandemic. How did the pandemic, or did the pandemic affect you? And if so, how did you overcome it? I guess you said you started in August 2020, so we're in the right middle of it. So did that sort of did it make you think twice to start the business, or you just said, let's go, let's do it. I found a gap anyway.
I think two things. So the pandemic has been more of a blessing to me than of a problem, and a blessing in the sense that now look at me, I'm home in Ghana, I'm not in the UK, but I'm still working because everything is being done online, so I'm getting the benefits of being with my family and still doing what I love to do. And then I think the other thing too is the fact that what I really love about what has been beneficial to me was the fact that in the beginning, I have to say that I was a bit scared. I'm like, businesses are tight, universities are tight, nobody is willing to part with money, But then again, in one of those conversations we had, you kept telling me, if you have good, if you're offering a service that provides good value for money, people will buy it irrespective. So although I would say to myself, this is really a difficult time, is this a good time to start a business? I'm like, it has to be done now or never. And I thought it was really good because, like I said previously, it was just the time at which there was a lot of noise and a lot of emphasis on bias. And so I realized there wasn't a better time to start than then, And then I asked myself, so if I don't start this business, what else can I do? Get an academic job. The universities have been worse hit by this pandemic, so they are not hiring, So I had no choice than to put myself into my business. That's why I say that the pandemic has been of more of a blessing to me. So I'll say if COVID-19 wasn't there, I would have even thought about, okay, let me put it on hold and get an academic job first. But I realized there was no way out. No university was willing to hire because they're not getting the money as they should. So I put myself there. I put myself into it, and I'm glad I did.
Nice. That's really, it's quite nice to have that perspective on the pandemic, because the pandemic has hit, um, especially business that are, were thriving, or specific industries. But it's really nice to see that for some, um, it created opportunities as well, and you took that opportunity. Um, and just finally, would you have any podcast or books or online events that are happening that you would like to recommend to students and graduates? Anything that you either you listen quite regularly, or just really inspired you, or just tell us a bit of anything that you feel like it could be business related or not, in terms of if you feel like something that helps you mental health or getting out of isolation, or but yeah, tell us.
Well, I think my first tip would be, I mean, and I might be biased here, forgive my bias, but I'm Christian, and that has been so good for my relationship with Jesus Christ, and my religion and my church community has been so beneficial for my mental health, you know, as a person. So if you're a religious person, if you're not, I mean, find something. So meditation, exercises, anything that can clear, because without the right mental health, or mental, how do I even say it, capacity or whatever it is, you
State
cannot
of
do
mind, maybe.
state of mind, exactly. You cannot do anything. So that is the number one key. Uh, Find something, that you can go to, that gives you that calm and serenity. If you have to talk to someone, fine. We all have something that we go to, and my go-to is my religion. I say a prayer. I'm like, Lord, I can't do this anymore, please help me, and it almost feels as if that burden has been lifted off my shoulders. The problem might still exist, but I come out of my prayer closet feeling much more better and feeling much more energized. And I can't emphasize LinkedIn. So if people can afford to pay for LinkedIn Premium, I use it a lot. At least 30 minutes a day, I take a LinkedIn learning course, and that just kind of opens my. So even things that have to do with diversity and inclusion, I listen to what others are saying, and then it gives me more ideas. And I listen to, if they haven't signed, so there's this Enterprise Nation. You can just sign up with them, and they have lots of free webinars, talking about how to start your business, how to scale your business, so that. And I think I mean, I listen to a host of podcasts. I'm not sure I have a favorite, but, and there's this, oh, I've forgotten this gentleman's name. Julie, if I remember, I'll send it to you. I think he's a freelance something, but he does a podcast about freelancing, and
Okay.
he interviews other freelancers, and it's just amazing to hear people share their journeys. Sometimes the very thing you are going through, someone has been through already, and they share their experience. They're like, oh, so I can overcome this. This is what I can do to overcome that. So that would be, yes, these three things. Yes, I think these days, and there's this a sense of community as well. So I have groups on Facebook and on LinkedIn that I've joined, and we have webinars. So that sense of community around you is key, especially in this time when we're not seeing each other. And people like-minded. So I'll recommend, if anybody is a lady, and there again my bias goes, like-minded females. I think it's Sonia Ballo who's in charge of that, and it's just finding other women. If you need, I would recommend everyone trying to get into business to get a mentor. Somebody who's already done something in business that you can learn from. Yeah. So not to take, forgive me if I'm rambling too much, but these
No,
are my.
that's really interesting. I really like the fact that mental health wise, having, you've got your own thing, but it's about looking at what what is the thing that calms you. As you said, for some it's the religious belief, for others it might be exercise, for others it might be meditation, yoga. There's a range, but I agree with you, to have something that grounds you. And it's in the same vein, the community aspect. As we say, I think sometimes having your own business, especially if you're a macro business and you're starting on your own, you might not have a team, is having that support. And people will go through the, it might not be the exact same journey, but they have gone through the same obstacles, and they'll be able to tell you how they managed to go round, or what other things helped you. And I really like the fact about the mentor. Again, that's that support network. um, and a mentor is someone that can help you, as you said, having like a sounding board. So it's just the fact that you're saying something um, helps you yourself hear and listen, and it's like, oh, actually that didn't make sense, or that did, or should I go a bit deeper? So all those things are great. Thank you very much, Maame, for your time. And we're looking forward to hear more about Linglabs on LinkedIn and on other platforms. Do you want to tell us the name of your podcast and where we can find it?
Yes, so it's just the Language Matters podcast. You can get it on Apple Podcast, or if you download Podbean, you can follow me there. And anytime I upload new content, it would show. And then you can connect with me on LinkedIn as well. Anytime I finish with anything, that I think that's the first place I go to, to announce and share my journey. Just like I have benefited from others, the stories that others have shared. So I would say everyone has a story, share. You never know who is listening to you and who might pick a thing or two from what you have shared. I think it's one of the things that we need to break. I obviously we have to unlearn the fact that in the past we are like, oh, I need to keep myself. You need to keep things to yourself. But no, actually, it's sharing your stories, sharing your journey, and if not for anything, just one person might be encouraged if you do. Yes. So that's on the notes that I would end with. And thank you, Julia, once again. I can't thank you and Miriam enough, and everyone at Queen Mary who has supported me and continues to support me and pays particular attention to my success. Thank you.
No problem. It's a pleasure to have you part of our Startup Visa endorsees, and we can't wait to see what the future holds for you. And as you mentioned, so we're part of Queen Mary, but all other universities will have that career support or enterprise support that you can go to. So definitely, I would advise if you're not sure, if you wanted to test, try, or need a sounding board, go to your careers or enterprise support, and they'll be there to help you. So thanks again, Maame, and we'll can't wait to see what the future holds for you.
Thank you, Julia. Enjoy the rest of the day.
You too. Bye.